Alcohol. Never had an issue with alcohol, but alcohol has caused me a lot of issues. What do I mean by that? I've seen it early on in my life. It just creates tremendous issues. Family, friends. Story that really stands out to me was my friend Roger Anton Giovanni. I was in high school, football practice, and we were standing there on the line, and he walks up, and he comes in kind of late in the season a bit, and so he gets the leftover uniform. It didn't really fit quite right on him. And he and I hit it off right away. It wasn't very long, and I'm going to his house. We're taking vacations together. I just love this guy. Because he was Italian, his family just took me in, and I became a part of their family. It was wonderful. And he would invite me to go to these little parties that he would go to, and I didn't go. I just had a thing against that, and I wouldn't go. He had went to one in Bakersfield, and he lived in Buttonwillow. And on his way home that night, he had fell asleep at the wheel. When he woke up, obviously the blazer was kind of shaking a bit. He overcorrected. When he did, he flipped it. He had himself, his cousin, and a good friend in the blazer. He and the good friend were killed, and his cousin made it. I remember getting the news about that. It was just absolutely devastating. When the details began to unfold, it was just horrifying. I felt a loneliness. I felt a brokenness. When I went to his house and I spent time with his mom and dad and sister, I had nothing to say, nothing to offer. I felt so hollow inside. And I experienced what alcohol could rob from you. So people today will say, well, you have a problem with alcohol because of your religion. No, that's not true. I have a problem with alcohol. Do I believe the Bible teaches against it? Yeah, I do. But I had experienced the devastations of it far, far before I understood the Hebrew and the Greek. Far before I understood the manners and customs. In our devotional this morning, we see that there's another issue here, and it's quite devastating. And it's with Noah. And we find in Genesis chapter 9 that it records an account that we find almost unbelievable. It says in verse 20, and Noah began to be a husbandman, and he planted a vineyard, and he drank of the wine, and he was drunken, and he was uncovered within his tent. Well, we're thinking, how in the world can this be God's holy guy, God's guy that was obedient for 120 years, God's guy that preached, and then do this? That's a really good question. But you got to understand the world that he lived in was a world that more than likely had a water canopy over it, had higher pressure and higher oxygen levels. Now he finds himself at a high elevation with lower oxygen levels and lower pressures. It's a term called hypoxia. And it is why they warn you if you're on an airplane not to drink. Higher elevations, not to drink. Because you get drunker faster. So here's Noah could be doing exactly what he's done before. And now it has an effect on him like it's never had before. And it caused great issue in his family and on the planet because of this. This is why I think you can see that in Ephesians chapter 5, we see it says in verse 15, see that you walk circumspectly, not as fools, but as wise, redeeming the time because the days are evil. Wherefore, Be you not unwise, but understand what the will of the Lord is, and be not drunk with wine, but wherein is excess, but be ye filled by the Spirit. And so you see, wisdom and being filled by the Spirit are likened here together. But you see that foolishness and drunkenness are paired together. And this is what I've seen my whole life. This is the stuff that I really feel that has really been a bad point in my life. And so when I see a world that I live in that just embraces this so much so, and I see the connection between sports and alcohol and that whole celebration thing, it really bothers me because my best friend came to me because of sports and left because of alcohol. And so I don't see all this joyousness that they talk about. What I see is devastation. And so as our minds try to figure out what happened with Noah, maybe we'll fast forward to where we are right now and say, what is happening not only with our world, but in our churches? You see people that have begun to embrace this idea that it's okay. I would encourage you to really take a look at what it has cost as it relates to lives, families. It's completely destructive. Also, I would ask you to take a look at the witness that you're leaving. Thirdly, take a look at, as I'd mentioned before, take a look at the Hebrew, the Greek, manners and customs, and how it was used during that time period. It's one thing for us to look at it from our vantage point. It's another thing to look at it contextually and what the Bible meant. I think it's important to know what God means. Let us be controlled by the Spirit. Let us be wise. May God bless you.